The cold open, steel, smoke in seconds. October 12, 1943. 10:27 hours. 22,000 feet over the North Sea. The bomber shudders first. Not from flak, but from cold. Frost creeps along the inside of the plexiglass like veins of ice, spidering across a gunner's field of view. Engines roar at full military power, a constant bone-deep thunder that rattles teeth and nerves. Oxygen masks hiss. Leather gloves creak as fingers tighten around frozen steel. Inside the B-17's waist section, the air smells of oil, cordite, and fear. The kid is 17. He shouldn't be here. Not legally. Not according to the papers folded and refolded in a stateside desk drawer. But here he is anyway, strapped into a flying box of aluminum skin no thicker than a coin. His boots planted wide, his back pressed to the fuselage, his hands wrapped around twin .50 caliber Brownings. Then it happens. A sharp crack, metal on metal, followed by a violent jolt that throws his head sideways. His helmet slams into the gun mount. White light explodes behind his eyes. For a split second, the world disappears. When it comes back, something is wrong. One eye won't focus. The gun sight, a ring and bead designed to turn chaos into geometry, has shattered. The glass is gone. Bet. Useless. His vision swims, doubled and blurred, the horizon tilting as if the entire aircraft is slipping sideways through the sky. He blinks. Art. Still wrong. And outside the bomber, the sky is filling up. Black dots at first. Then wings. Then crosses. Messerschmitt Bf-109s, sleek, predatory, climbing fast out of the sun. Bandits. 3 o'clock low. Comes the call over the intercom, clipped and urgent. The formation tightens, fortresses inching closer until wingtips seem ready to scrape aluminum. Below, the sea is a cold, distant gray. Above, contrails streak the sky like chalk lines drawn by giants. The kid leans forward, pressing his damaged eye closer to the shattered sight. It doesn't help. His depth perception is gone. Range, everything a gunner relies on, has vanished with it. Training says he should report it. Move aside. Let another man cover the sector. But there is no other man. 2 gunners are already out, 1 wounded, 1 dead. Blood slicks the floor somewhere forward of him. The radio crackles with overlapping voices, fear barely contained beneath discipline. And the Messerschmitts are coming in fast. He exhales slowly into the oxygen mask. If he can't see the sight, he'll feel the guns instead. The first fighter screams past in a blur of gray and yellow nose paint, tracers flashing red-green-white as it fires. The B-17's skin rings like a struck bell. Holes punch through the fuselage. Shards of insulation explode into the compartment, floating like dirty snow. He swings the Brownings by instinct alone. No sight. No calculation. Just motion. He watches the air, the way the fighter cuts through it, the angle of its climb, the speed of its pass. He squeezes the trigger, not aiming at the aircraft, but ahead of it. The gun's hammer, recoil punching into his shoulders, vibration traveling up his arms and into his skull. Tracers arc outward, a stream of glowing beads curving through thin air. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then, the Messerschmitt jerks. Smoke spits from its engine cowling. The nose drops. The fighter rolls hard, clipping the edge of a cloud bank before plunging straight down toward the sea, spiraling out of control. There is no time to watch it hit. Another fighter replaces it instantly. And another. The sky collapses inward, a tightening ring of speed and violence. Enemy pilots streak through the formation, firing at close range, so close the kid can see faces behind canopies, scarves snapping in the slipstream. He fires again. Misses. Adjusts. Fires again. This time, the tracers walk up the fuselage of a climbing 109. The canopy bursts. The aircraft snaps into a violent roll, wing tearing free as centrifugal force does the rest. Someone shouts over the intercom. Another kill? There is no confirmation. No tally board. No cheering. Only heat from the gun barrels, now glowing faintly, and the growing ache behind his damaged eye as it strains to keep up. He doesn't know it yet. But by the end of this mission, 6 German fighters will fall from the sky in flames. And none of them will be shot using a gun sight. The Messerschmitts regroup below, circling like sharks. They're coming back, this time head-on. The kid tightens his grip. His vision blurs again. And then the first fighter breaks formation and charges straight at him. The first realization, fighting without sight. The Messerschmitt comes straight in. Not angling. Not weaving. A deliberate, brutal head-on pass. Its nose-mounted cannons flash like camera strobes. White streaks of tracer fire tear toward the bomber, punching through aluminum, ripping past ribs and oxygen lines. The B-17 lurches as if slapped by an invisible hand. The kid doesn't flinch. He can't afford to. The shattered sight is useless now, nothing but a bent frame and jagged edges. One eye is swollen, vision smeared like oil on glass. The other strains to compensate, pulling double duty, burning inside its socket. He does something no manual ever taught. He stops trying to see the airplane. Instead, he watches the space around it. The slipstream. The way the fighter's shadow slides across the bomber's wing. The rhythm of its approach. Speed becomes sound, how quickly the engine note rises. Distance becomes instinct, how fast the shape grows, how the air feels charged, almost tight before a pass. He waits. Too early and the bullets pass behind. Too late and they cut harmlessly in front. At the last possible moment he squeezes. The Brownings roar again, louder this time, closer. Tracers surge forward, not aimed at the fighter itself, but at the invisible point where it will be in the next half second. The Messerschmitt fills his view, then shatters. The propeller disintegrates first, blades tearing away like thrown knives. The engine cowling ruptures in a violent bloom of smoke and sparks. The aircraft snaps sideways, clipping the bomber's wingtip with a glancing blow before spinning off into nothing but falling debris. For a fraction of a second, there is silence in his corner of the aircraft. Then the intercom explodes. Jesus, did you see that? Waste, you get him? That was a head-on. The kid doesn't answer. His hands are shaking now. Adrenaline finally breaks through the focus, flooding his limbs. His breath comes fast, fogging the inside of his mask. He swallows hard. One fighter could be luck. Two could be coincidence. But something has shifted inside him. He understands now. The broken sight isn't just a handicap. It's forcing him to do something different. Something dangerous. Something almost impossible. He's not shooting at airplanes. He's shooting through time. The Messerschmitts come again, this time from below and behind, climbing into the blind spots between overlapping fields of fire. The bomber formation strains to hold together, gunners calling out bearings, pilots wrestling heavy controls to keep station. Flak bursts bloom higher up, black puffs smearing the sky. Somewhere in the formation, another bomber takes a direct hit. Fire pours from an engine. The aircraft falls out of line, slipping backward, alone. The fighters pounce. The kid tracks them as they dive. One comes in low, crossing beneath the tail, then pulling up sharply along the fuselage. He swings the guns in a smooth arc, ignoring the pain in his eye, letting muscle memory guide the motion. He fires in short bursts now. Controlled. Measured. Alive. The tracers stitch upward. The fighter tries to roll away, but it's already too late. Rounds tear into the wing root. The left wing buckles, folding like paper. The Messerschmitt flips inverted and vanishes into cloud. Another follows immediately, tighter this time, smarter. It jinks left, then right, trying to throw off the aim of a gunner who shouldn't even be able to see clearly. The kid doesn't chase it. He waits for the mistake. And it comes. The fighter straightens for just a second, just long enough to line up a shot on the bomber's cockpit. That second is enough. The Brownings bark. The recoil pounds his chest. Tracers slam into the engine block. Smoke erupts, thick and oily. The fighter peels away, trailing fire, then detonates in a brief, violent flash as fuel ignites. The number doesn't register yet. There is no counting. Only survival. His barrels are overheating now, heat shimmer warping the air around them. He switches guns, hands moving automatically, his body remembering drills practiced 1,000 times on the ground. A sudden impact throws him forward. The bomber shudders violently, nose dropping before the pilot hauls it back up. Warning lights flicker. The intercom goes dead for a terrifying second, then crackles back to life. Hydraulics hit. Control cables damaged. We're still flying. Barely. Outside, the Germans pull back again, regrouping higher this time. They're learning. They always do. They know one gunner is killing them. And they're about to do something about it. The kid wipes sweat from his brow with the back of his glove, smearing grime across his face. His damaged eye throbs in time with his heartbeat. Each blink feels heavier than the last. He forces it open anyway. Because high above, against the glare of the sun, a new shape forms. Not one fighter. Not three. A full flight, dropping together. Straight down. And this time they're coming for him. The kill box, when the sky turns against him. The sun disappears. Not behind clouds. Behind wings. 6 Messerschmitts peel over in perfect unison, noses down, propellers screaming as they dive out of the glare. It's a textbook move: blind the gunners, compress reaction time, overwhelm a single sector with speed and mass. The kid feels it before he sees it. The air changes. Pressure builds. The bomber's skin seems to tighten as if it knows what's coming. High six. High six, someone shouts. The call is late. They're already inside the kill box. The first fighter opens fire at close range. Tracers rake across the top of the fuselage, chewing through aluminum and wiring. The bomber jolts violently. A chunk of plexiglass explodes inward, spraying shards across the compartment. The kid ducks by instinct, then snaps back up, swinging the Browning skyward. His good eye squints against the sun. His bad eye contributes nothing but pain. He can't pick out individual aircraft now. Too fast. Too bright. Too many. So he widens his focus. He looks at patterns. How the formation fans out. How the lead aircraft pulls slightly ahead. How the wingmen lag just enough to avoid collision. That spacing, that rhythm, that's where the bullets need to go. He fires a long burst. Not at a plane. At the empty air where the formation will converge. The guns thunder. Tracers streak upward, a luminous net cast into the sky. The first Messerschmitt flies clean through, unharmed. The second isn't so lucky. It hits the stream at an angle. Rounds punch into the cockpit. The canopy erupts. The aircraft snaps backward, tail whipping over the nose before it tumbles end over end into open sky. The third breaks hard left, barely avoiding the same fate. The fourth doesn't react in time. Its engine takes a burst straight through the cowling. Flames lick back along the fuselage. The pilot bails out at low altitude, parachute snapping open just long enough to be seen before clouds swallow him. The number still doesn't matter. What matters is the gun barrels, now smoking, heat waves distorting the view entirely. The Brownings are nearing their limits. They jam now. He doesn't finish the thought. The last two fighters split wide, one pulling up sharply, the other diving low, trying to crossfire the bomber's waist section. Smart. Deadly. The kid tracks the low one first. His hands move without conscious thought, muscles guiding steel. He fires short, brutal bursts, walking the tracers upward. The Messerschmitt clips the bomber with its wing as it passes. Metal scraping metal, then shudders violently. Its right wing shears away. The aircraft spins down, a broken thing vanishing beneath the bomber. 6. The last fighter is already climbing away, unwilling to press its luck. It fires a parting burst that rips through the compartment, shredding canvas, punching holes inches from the kid's head. He doesn't chase it. The guns fall silent. For the first time since the attack began, there is a strange, ringing quiet, broken only by the drone of engines and the hiss of oxygen. Smoke hangs in the compartment. The air tastes burned. The kid's arms tremble uncontrollably now. The adrenaline drains, leaving exhaustion behind. His vision pulses, dark spots dancing at the edges. He leans back against the fuselage, sliding down until he's half sitting, half slumped. Only then does he realize how badly he's hurt. Blood has seeped down the side of his face, warm beneath the cold air, soaking into the collar of his flight jacket. His damaged eye has swollen nearly shut. Every heartbeat sends a spike of pain through his skull. The intercom crackles again. "Waist gunner, you still with us?" He presses the switch with shaking fingers. "Yeah," he manages. "Still here." There's a pause. Then a voice he doesn't recognize, tight, controlled, almost disbelieving. "Son, we've got reports. You've got at least 6 confirmed." The words hang there, unreal. 6. In one mission. With a shattered gun sight. With broken vision. At 17. The bomber limps onward, formation thinning, holes punched through wings and fuselage. Somewhere ahead, the target lies waiting. Factories, rail yards, flak batteries already waking up. The mission isn't over. Not even close. And the Germans aren't done either. As the formation pushes deeper into enemy airspace, flak bursts begin to climb toward them, black blossoms rising faster, tighter, more accurate. The kid forces himself back to his feet, wiping blood from his eye, hands returning to the guns. Because now the danger isn't fighters. It's something far worse. And the bomber is flying straight into it. The flak corridor, when the sky explodes. The first burst detonates off the left wing. Not close. Inside. The explosion slams through the bomber like a giant fist, rattling bones and teeth, hammering metal with a sound like 1,000 sledgehammers striking at once. Shrapnel screams through the airframe. The B-17 bucks, engines coughing as the pilot fights to keep altitude. Flak. Heavy. Accurate. Time. The Germans have found the range. At 22,000 feet, the sky becomes a minefield. Black puffs erupt in tight clusters, each one a measured calculation. Altitude, speed, wind drift, designed to tear bombers apart without ever touching them directly. The kid grips the gun mount as another burst rocks the aircraft. This enemy doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It simply appears. A chunk of shrapnel punches through the fuselage inches from his shoulder, slicing insulation and disappearing into open air. Another tears through a support beam, spraying sparks. Somewhere forward, someone is yelling, pain, panic, both. The intercom crackles with strained voices. Number 3 engine hit. Fire, putting out a fire. Hold formation, don't break. The bomber shudders again. A burst detonates beneath them, lifting the aircraft as if on an invisible cushion, then dropping it hard. Loose equipment slams into bulkheads. The kid's knees buckle, but he stays upright, teeth clenched, refusing to fall. He glances outside. The fighters are gone. This is worse. Flak doesn't miss because it doesn't aim at men, it aims at where men must be. Ahead, the formation presses on, fortresses flying straight and level, exactly as doctrine demands. To maneuver now would scatter them, leave stragglers exposed. So they fly on. Into hell. Another explosion punches the bomber's nose sideways. The pilot corrects, overcorrects, then steadies. Warning lights glow red along the instrument panel. Hydraulics groan. Control cables stretch and complain. The kid's compartment fills with acrid smoke. Not flak smoke. Engine smoke. He swings his gaze toward the wing. Engine number 3 is trailing a thin, oily ribbon of black. Flames lick briefly along the cowling, then die out, then flare again. Fire's back, someone shouts. The crew scrambles. Fire extinguishers discharge with a hiss, white vapor streaming backward in the slipstream. For a moment it looks contained. Then another flak burst detonates just off the wingtip. The engine coughs. Dies. The propeller windmills uselessly, a dead weight dragging them down. The bomber begins to lag. The formation pulls ahead inch by inch, a slow, terrible separation. Gap widening. Protection thinning. The kid feels it in his gut before anyone says a word. They're becoming a target again. And as if summoned by weakness, the sky shifts. Contrails slice down from above. Messerschmitts, new ones, diving through the flak, reckless now, driven by opportunity. They streak past bursting shells, threading the chaos with predatory ease. The fighters smell blood. The kid snaps back to his guns, ignoring the pain screaming behind his eye. The barrels are hot but serviceable. He runs his gloved hand along the mount, checking feed, feeling for jams. Clear. Outside, a fighter lines up on their wounded side. He fires. Short bursts. Controlled. The tracers arc, but the angle is wrong. The fighter slips past, firing as it goes. Rounds punch into the fuselage. A gun goes silent somewhere aft. Tail gunners hit, comes the call. He's down. The words land like a blow. Another man gone. The kid pivots, covering the rear arc as best he can from his position. It's not his sector. It shouldn't be his responsibility. But it is. Always is. A second fighter comes in low. He leads it instinctively, firing through the blur of smoke and flak. The rounds walk up the fuselage. The Messerschmitt breaks away, trailing gray smoke, damaged but not destroyed. No time to finish it. The flak intensifies as they approach the target. Bursts close in, tighter now, walking along the formation with mathematical precision. One bomber ahead takes a direct hit. The explosion is catastrophic. The nose disappears in a flash of fire and debris. The aircraft breaks apart midair, wings folding, tail tearing free. Men, equipment, fragments scatter into the void. No parachutes. The kid freezes for half a second, staring. Then another blast rocks his aircraft, snapping him back to the present. The bombardier calls the final run. Bomb bay doors open. The bomber steadies, flying straight through the storm. The kid feels the sudden change in airflow as the bay doors yawn open beneath them, cold air ripping through the fuselage. Flak explodes above. Below. Beside. One burst detonates so close it feels like being slapped across the face. The kid's head snaps back. Stars explode in his vision. He tastes blood. He blinks. His damaged eye finally gives up. Darkness closes over it completely. Half blind now. Half the world gone. The intercom counts down. 10 seconds. A fighter streaks in from the right. The kid fires blind. Not aiming with eyes, but with memory. The tracers miss wide. The fighter fires back. Rounds slam into the compartment. Something punches into the kid's shoulder, A dull, heavy impact that spins him sideways. Pain flares, sharp and immediate. He slams against the fuselage, nearly dropping the guns. 5 seconds. He forces himself upright, left arm screaming in protest, right hand clawing the trigger grips back into position. The fighter passes beneath them, close enough he can see the black cross flash by. Bombs away. The aircraft lifts suddenly as thousands of pounds of explosives drop free. The formation surges upward, momentarily escaping the flak corridor. The kid exhales shakily. But the pain in his shoulder grows worse. Warmth spreads beneath his jacket. He looks down. Blood. A lot of it. And as the bomber begins its turn for home, engines straining, damage mounting, he realizes something chilling. He might have survived the fighters. He might survive the flak. But he may not survive the flight back. The long way home, bleeding at altitude. The cold finds the wound first. At 22,000 feet, it crawls into bone and stays there, numbing and sharp at the same time. The kid presses his glove against his shoulder, feeling the wetness spread, sticky and warm for a few seconds before the air steals the heat away. The bomber banks west. Home. In theory. The formation is thinner now, ragged gaps where aircraft used to be. Smoke trails mark the sky like gravestones. Somewhere behind them, fighters regroup, picking off stragglers who can't keep up. Their B-17 is one of them. 3 engines pull. 1 drags. The pilot coaxes what he can from the throttles, but the airspeed won't climb. The nose rides lower than it should. Every vibration sends a fresh jolt of pain through the kid's shoulder. He forces himself to stay at the guns. No one tells him to sit down. No one has to. They all know what happens to wounded bombers that leave their posts. The intercom crackles. Short, clipped voices, each man sounding older than he did this morning. Radio's out. Hydraulics barely responding. Tail gunner unconscious. The kid swallows hard. He is covering half the aircraft now, his own sector and part of the tail. He pivots awkwardly, compensating for the dead weight of his injured arm. Each movement leaves him dizzy, his vision tunneling as oxygen thins and blood drains. The sky ahead looks deceptively calm. Then the contrails return. 4 Messerschmitts climbing from below. Not rushing this time. They spread out, patient, confident. The flak has done its work. Now they'll finish it. The kid braces. He can barely see out of his damaged eye. His good eye burns, strained past endurance. The guns feel heavier than before, as if gravity itself has doubled. The first fighter feints, dipping away to draw fire. He doesn't bite. The second comes in hard from the rear quarter, firing early. Tracers rake the fuselage. A round smacks into the gun mount, showering sparks. Another punches through canvas and disappears into the bomber's guts. The kid fires back, leading the target by feel alone. The rounds pass close, too close, but not enough. The fighter slips away. They're learning him now. They know he leads aggressively. They know he shoots ahead of the plane. They start jinking later, holding their line just long enough to spoil his timing. His shoulder screams as he adjusts. Blood drips from his elbow, freezing into dark spots on the floor. A third fighter dives straight in head-on again, daring him to repeat the trick. The kid steadies his breathing. Wait. He fires late. Later than instinct wants. The tracers hit home. The Messerschmitt's engine disintegrates in a violent shudder. Smoke pours out. The aircraft drops away, spiraling down through cloud, gone. 1 left. The last fighter pulls up and away, unwilling to trade itself for a crippled bomber. For now. Silence returns, broken only by the engines and the kid's ragged breathing. He slumps slightly, catching himself on the gun mount before he can fall. His vision dims. The world narrows. Someone is shouting over the intercom, his name maybe, but it sounds far away like a voice heard underwater. He shakes his head hard, forcing focus. If he passes out here. No. He stays upright. Minutes stretch into hours. The North Sea slides beneath them, gray and endless. The coast finally appears, a darker smear against the horizon. Friendly territory. Almost. The engines begin to sputter again. Fuel is running low. The damaged engine is throwing oil. The pilot's voice tightens as he calls out headings, searching for a friendly field within gliding distance. The kid's knees buckle at last. He slides down the fuselage and sits, back against cold metal, guns still in his hands. He keeps them pointed outward just in case. His shoulder throbs in time with his heartbeat. Blood loss fogs his thoughts. Images blur together. Sunlight on wings, tracer arcs, faces behind canopies. A sudden jolt snaps him back. The landing gear won't come down. Manual cranks whine uselessly. The bomber circles, losing altitude, engines coughing like exhausted lungs. They're going to belly land. Brace positions are called. Men strap in where they can, grabbing onto whatever is solid. The kid tries to stand. His leg doesn't respond. He collapses back down, breath leaving him in a sharp exhale. Hands grab his harness. Easy, kid, someone says close now. We got you. The runway rushes up. There is no graceful descent. Only impact. The bomber slams onto the earth in a scream of tearing metal and sparks. The world lurches violently. The fuselage grinds along the ground, shedding pieces, wings snapping, engines ripping free. The kid's head whips forward. Then, nothing. Darkness. When he wakes, light hurts. His eye burns. His shoulder is on fire. Voices echo around him, overlapping, urgent. He smells antiseptic. He tries to move. Can't. Someone notices. Hey, he's awake. A doctor leans into view, helmet pushed back, face drawn tight. Easy, the doctor says. You're safe now. Safe. The word feels strange. The kid swallows, throat dry. Did we make it? The doctor hesitates. Then nods. You did. The relief hits harder than any flak burst. His body goes slack, the last of his strength draining away. He closes his good eye. He doesn't know yet that photographers are already waiting. That reports are being written. That his age will raise eyebrows and questions. All he knows is that he lived. And that 6 German fighters didn't. But the real reckoning is still coming. Because when the brass hear how he did it, they won't believe it. The aftermath, when the numbers don't make sense. The room is quiet in the way hospitals always are after battle. Not peaceful. Just stunned. White sheets. Canvas cots. Boots lined neatly beneath them. Somewhere down the row, a man moans in his sleep, reliving something he can't let go of. The smell of antiseptic hangs heavy, barely masking smoke, oil, and burned cloth. The kid lies still. His shoulder is bandaged tight, wrapped so thick it feels like armor. His damaged eye is sealed shut beneath gauze. The good one opens slowly, adjusting to light that doesn't explode or burn. For the first time in hours there is no engine noise. No gunfire. No sky. A clipboard appears above him. Then another face. An officer this time, captain, maybe major, clean uniform, tired eyes. He doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't need to. Son, he says carefully, we need you to walk us through what happened. The kid swallows. He tries to sit up. Pain shuts that idea down immediately. The medic presses him gently back. Take your time, the officer says. Just tell it straight. So he does. He talks about the hit. The broken sight. The way his eye stopped working. He explains how he stopped using the ring and bead, how he watched airflow, shadows, spacing. How he fired ahead of where the aircraft was. The officer's pen slows. Stops. Say that again, he says. The kid repeats it, voice dry, flat. No drama. Just facts as he remembers them. The officer looks up now, exchanging a glance with another man standing just behind him. Intelligence, maybe operations. That's not doctrine, the second man says quietly. I know, sir, the kid answers. But it worked. There's a long pause. 6 confirmed kills, the officer finally says, tapping the clipboard. 3 pilots corroborated. 2 more probable. The number sits heavy in the air. 6. Most gunners fly entire tours without seeing one confirmed. The officer studies the bandages. The boyish face beneath them. The way his hands still twitch slightly as if gripping triggers that aren't there anymore. How old are you? He asks. The kid hesitates. Then answers. 17, sir. Silence. It's not anger that follows. It's something closer to disbelief. Paperwork moves fast after that. Too fast. Medical reports. Combat interviews. Debriefs repeated until the kid can recite the mission in his sleep. Doctors argue quietly outside his cot. About his eye, about nerve damage, about whether he'll ever fly again. One of them shakes his head. Sight may not fully return, he says. If it does, not like before. The words should hurt more than they do. Because something has changed. A few days later, a photographer arrives. Then another. A flashbulb pops. Someone asks him to hold still. To look brave. To look like a hero. He doesn't feel like one. He feels tired. A chaplain stops by. So does the squadron commander. They speak in measured tones about courage, instinct, survival. Someone mentions a medal. The kid barely listens. All he can see, over and over, is the moment the fighters came out of the sun. The way he fired without seeing. The way something inside him knew. Word spreads anyway. Through the base. Through the group. Up the chain. A teenage gunner. Broken sight. 6 Messerschmitts. Some call it luck. Others call it madness. A few call it genius. But not everyone is impressed. A week later an order comes down. Type. Official. He's being grounded. Medically unfit for further combat flying, it reads. His eye. His shoulder. His age finally noticed. The kid stares at the paper for a long time. He should feel relief. Instead he feels hollow. Because while everyone else sees what he lost, they don't understand what he discovered. That sometimes when everything you rely on is taken away, you find something else. Something sharper. Something deadly. And somewhere across the channel, German pilots are filing reports of a bomber gunner who shouldn't have been able to hit them, but did. The legend is already forming. And it's about to outgrow the boy who lived it. The legend spreads, a gunner against impossible odds. News travels slower than bullets but faster than time in a hospital bed. By the second week, the story is circulating through the airbase. The teenage waste gunner who fired with one eye, whose sight was broken and still shot down 6 enemy fighters. Officers talk in hushed tones. Enlisted men whisper in the mess hall. Even mechanics pause mid-wrench to shake their heads in disbelief. No one has seen anything like it. Not in this theater. Not in Europe. Not in living memory. The kid doesn't go looking for attention. He doesn't need to. The truth finds him. A photograph appears in the base newsletter. Young, pale face smudged with dirt, leather jacket zipped to the chin, the unmistakable Brownings resting in his hands. The caption reads, "Blinded but deadly." It sticks. Pilots begin to approach him cautiously, their eyes wide, half respect, half curiosity. "How did you do it?" they ask. He shrugs, says nothing. The words feel insufficient. They always do. Letters arrive too. From families, from journalists, from other young gunners inspired by the story. Everyone wants to know the technique, the mindset, the courage. But he can't explain it fully. How do you explain firing 6 kills without being able to see them? He doesn't yet understand it himself. Back in the barracks, he practices with empty rounds, recreating angles, timing bursts, feeling the rhythm of air. Muscle memory has become his sight. Instinct is now the gun's partner. Meanwhile, word reaches command. Investigators comb through mission logs, gun camera footage, eyewitness testimony. They confirm it. 6 confirmed kills. 1 teenage gunner. Broken sight. A bomber that should have been easy prey. Higher-ups are baffled. This defies everything, one colonel admits. Doctrine doesn't account for it. Manuals never prepared them for it. Yet there is admiration hidden behind disbelief. Soon the story leaves the base. It's printed in newspapers overseas. Allied pilots talk of it at mess halls and barracks. Enemy intelligence intercepts mention a B-17 gunner whose bullets find their mark against impossible odds. The nickname sticks internationally, blinded but deadly. And the kid, he still doesn't feel like a hero. He feels small. Tiny in a world that has already tried to kill him. But he does feel something new, confidence. Not arrogance. Not bravado. Confidence in the strange, raw skill he never knew he had. That when tools fail, instincts take over. That even broken, he is capable of extraordinary things. Letters continue. Invitations to brief other crews, to instruct, to share what little technique he can. He refuses at first, preferring silence, preferring rest. But eventually he realizes he has become more than just a survivor. He is now a symbol. A proof that sometimes, the impossible is possible. And the war, relentless, consuming, brutal, has only just begun to test the boundaries of his courage. Because while the legend spreads, the skies are still filled with Messerschmitts. Still filled with flak. Still demanding more from those who survive. He is only 17. And he has already killed 6. The reckoning, courage beyond sight. Weeks pass. The kid recovers slowly. The swelling around his eye diminishes but leaves a permanent shadow, a reminder of the price paid high above the North Sea. The shoulder heals, though the movement never fully returns to its first strength. Every flex reminds him of that mission, of the 6 fighters he sent down into the cold waters below. Command debates what to do next. Recommendations for medals circulate. There is talk of the Distinguished Flying Cross, mentions of heroism bordering on myth. Pilots and gunners alike push for recognition. But the kid, he refuses to dwell on awards. To him it isn't about medals. It never was. He sits quietly in the corner of the squadron briefing room, watching younger gunners train with proper equipment, gun sights calibrated, eyes unshattered. He sees them struggling with drills he could perform blindfolded. And he remembers the sky, the chaos, the instinct that guided his hands when all else failed. The story becomes legend. Officers use it as an example in lectures. Courage, they say. Instinct. Determination. Adaptability. But beneath the official language, everyone knows there is something almost supernatural about what he accomplished. 6 Messerschmitts taken down by a boy who couldn't see properly. The kid himself doesn't claim genius. He calls it focus, trust in the machine, trust in himself. He calls it survival. Yet deep down he understands something profound. That fear can sharpen skill, that loss can forge instinct, that the human body and mind can compensate for what is broken in ways no manual can predict. He doesn't fly combat missions again. Regulations, medical boards, and common sense prevent it. But he trains, instructs, and teaches others what he can. And he knows the story will outlive him. The tale of the blinded but deadly gunner will ripple through squadrons, whispered in mess halls, recounted by veterans decades later. Yet for him, the most important part is personal. Not fame. Not medals. Not recognition. It is the knowledge that even when stripped of everything, sight, stability, safety, he still found a way to survive, to fight, to win. And somewhere in the cold expanse of the North Sea, the 6 Messerschmitts he sent crashing are silent monuments to that truth. 6 fiery testimonies to courage beyond sight. He closes his good eye. The world is still sharp enough for now. But he never forgets what it felt like to fire blind, to rely on nothing but instinct and willpower, and to triumph against impossible odds. Sometimes late at night he dreams of the sky, the roar of engines, the flash of tracers, the sudden shattering of enemy planes. And he wakes with the same realization every time, that courage is not the absence of fear, nor the presence of perfect vision. It is action. Even when blind. Even when broken. 6 kills. 1 broken eye. 1 teenage gunner. 1 legend. The story is finished.